Story 1. AITA for not giving my house to my SIL? This happened 2 nights ago, and I'm still feeling some type of way about it. Background. My 30F husband, 32M, has a younger sister, SIL 25F. Sister-in-law is currently going through a divorce with 4 children. My husband and I also have 4 children. My husband and I live on a very quiet country back road in our little town, us and his family being the only residences on the road. So, both his sisters and their families and his parents live within walking distance of our house. My husband and I have been married for 7 years and have 4 young children. My husband bought the land we live on from his parents when he was 18, and when we got married, we built a house on it. We designed our house with a big family in mind and designed it to be our forever home. It has never been a thought to move or look elsewhere. My sister-in-law is going through a divorce. She is struggling, to say the least. She was in a very toxic relationship with her ex, with her contributing just as much as he was, and he filed for divorce and moved out, leaving the 4 kids with her. My mother-in-law called my husband 2 nights ago and asked if we would come over for a chat. We get there, and my in-laws and CL are sitting on the couch like they were staging some kind of intervention. It was just really strange. My mother-in-law didn't beat around the bush at all. She explained how Sael's ex was getting the house in the divorce, and they would be homeless within the month if we didn't give her our home. It honestly took me a second to comprehend what she even said, because it was so out of left field. Husband didn't need that second and looked them dead in the eyes and said, no. In-laws started telling us things like, you guys don't need all that house. You guys can move into one of the new neighborhoods in town. You guys can just build a new house. I offered to open up our playroom and guest bedroom to them until they could find somewhere to live. We have air mattresses and the guest room has a full bath, but that was not good enough apparently. That's when we got up and left. They began yelling after us, saying we don't care about the children, family helps family, we're being greedy and selfish, etc., etc. I'm honestly so proud of how we reacted, because my first instinct was to go off and say some hurtful things, but we went just home, to our home. We love sister-in-law's kids, and obviously do not want them to be homeless. But they don't need my house at the expense of my own children and family. I don't see why sister-in-law's family deserves my home. What about my kids? Now the in-laws are calling, texting, saying we don't care about the kids. We're selfish and greedy, we're making her homeless. And I'm wondering if maybe we were too quick to say no. So, AITA for not giving my home to my sister-in-law? So, as I thought, SIL was lying about a lot. Not going to go into too much detail because it's seriously years worth of lies. But my husband and I called the ex-brother-in-law, and we 100% fully believe everything her ex told us. He has no reason to lie to us and said over and over he just wants the best for his kids, and he is trying his best not to do anything that could possibly harm him in a court of law. She lied about him getting the house, lied about how much she was going to get in child support, lied about how often she would have her children. Something else that came out is that her oldest child is not even her ex's child. Just so many lies. We feel so incredibly stupid and deceived and disgusted, to be honest. We told my in-laws everything he had said and they were upset to find out she had been lying, but they kind of doubled down, saying she must have had a good reason. She's backed into a corner, she's really going through a tough time, and a bunch of other nonsense. Sister-in-law was called and asked to come and join us. She, of course, took zero accountability for the lying and sneaking and was screaming at us about how gross we were for going behind her back to her ex, how she will never trust us again because we betrayed her. She also let us know that she was asking for our house because she truly feels like we had actually built it for her. Our kids' rooms were how she would have designed them herself. She would love to cook in my kitchen. She loves my bathroom layout. Basically, everything about my house is how she would have built it herself. And she thinks that I must have somehow known she would need a home in the future. At that point, I was just done, and so was my husband. Can't argue with batshit crazy. We left to a whole lot of screaming about no longer being family, and to not expect to see them again. Honestly, I think never seeing them again is the only way to go from here. It's been a crazy few days since then. We hired a friend of my husband's to put up a privacy fence around our entire property and added extra cameras to our security system. We have a good family friend of our family, not husband's, on the police force, and let him know the situation, so he knows if he gets a phone call from us that it's serious. I think sister-in-law thought that she could have my house because she loved it. That's kind of it. She wanted it, so thought she deserved it. I guess she was either planning to sell her house at some point, or maybe rent it out, I have no idea. And I really don't think she had thought that all the way through. She just thought that if she told us all she was losing the house, then we would feel obligated to help in the way she wanted. I feel at peace with the situation. My husband has been grieving a bit. He's sad that his parents have chosen a liar over a man who has done everything for his family, never hesitated to help, and only ever been a doting son. But I think this is for the best. They don't treat him the way he deserves, and I'm glad to be rid of them. I'm sad for my kids and the situation this puts them in, but my family has enough love for everyone.
In my opinion, she is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 2. AITA for kicking my friend out because she complimented my partner. I, 33F, am in a serious relationship with my partner, 39M, who will work remotely full-time so we can spend the Christmas season with my daughter, 7F. A friend of mine who we'll call Mag, 33F, is a nail artist, and I paid her to come to my house and do my nails this morning, and during her work I invited her to stay for lunch. My partner was working from home and didn't come into the kitchen the whole morning, but he did come around by lunchtime, and considering he is working remotely, was only wearing a short-sleeved shirt, which is much more comfortable than wearing suits like he does at work. My boyfriend is the kind who always used exercise as a way to cope with stress, so let's be honest. Even though he is lean, he does have some nice muscles. And when he started moving around the kitchen, Mag started to look at him like a piece of meat while making compliments like, "You look so much better wearing tight-fitting clothes. You must be so strong. The way your biceps move makes me wish my boyfriend would exercise more." My boyfriend, of course, was uncomfortable but didn't say a thing and chose to go back to his desk with his plate instead of biting her head off. I, on the other hand, was pissed and told her to get out of my house even if by then I was still cooking and we hadn't had anything to eat. I told her that what just happened was not okay and that it was the last time she would be invited to my house. She defended herself by saying that she was only complimenting my partner and that I should be proud for landing a 10 when I was a barely decent 4 myself. And I escorted her out. Now both Mag and her mother both involved everyone they know, my mother, common friends, my colleagues, and they are blowing my phone. I currently have 127 texts after I stopped responding at 5 p.m. and my head spins. My partner and I talked about it over dinner. He believes it is at best flirting and at worst, sexual harassment, and he told me that he wished for me to stop inviting Mag at home. I explained that she never behaved like that, and that I was just as surprised and disappointed, and of course, she is no longer welcome. But I have 14 conversations in my phone, all in contradiction with each other, and I feel my head spin.
I think she is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 3. AITA for refusing to let my mentally ill hoarder in-laws stay at my house indefinitely. My in-laws are in their 60s hoarders, unhealthy people, not elderly, saying, "Well, this is what happens when you get to be our age." No, it doesn't. Eat healthy and take care of yourself. They don't cook, clean, their house is falling apart from neglect their own hygiene. They reek of urine and have 2 cats who urinate and defecate all over the house. Their doctors have passively made comments about the smell. They don't ask for help or consider nursing homes. They seem to be there mentally but are just gross. Incident 1, winter of 2023, my father-in-law, plus 350 pounds, fell, and he and my mother-in-law could not get him back up. They called the fire department. Fire department saw the condition of the house, called the health department, and said they had 14 days or so to fix some of the issues around the house before they would be forced to leave. The Humane Society came and took their 2 cats away. I also know they just feed their cats leftovers from the food they get delivered. IMO, they should not have the poor things. There is mold, cat defecation, rot, and I would bet human excrement all around the house. My wife said there were trash bags filled to the brim everywhere. They got the house taken care of just enough to meet code and fell right back into it, and now it's worse. Father-in-law recently beat cancer, but has some wounds, infections on his legs, and they keep coming back. Not sure on the cause of the infections, but I am certain their hygiene and living environment is causing them to remain. Incident 2, today, and AITA. Today, my father-in-law fell again, and it was a repeat of 2023. FD called, Health Department. The Humane Society took the 2 cats away again. They have done nothing to improve the house. I heard my Amal say, "It's only gotten worse" over the phone when talking to my wife earlier tonight. The health department has marked it with red tape or a red flag or something where the house is not permitted for entry at this time, I think is what I heard. Father-in-law's leg infections had maggots growing on them. Yes, maggots. He was delirious from the fall and is being admitted to the hospital for a few days. Sounds like a minor kidney injury or something. Mother-in-law has been discharged. She does not own a cell phone, and all of her belongings are back at the house, which I'm not sure they can get in. My wife is on her way to get my mother-in-law and bring her back to our house. I said no. My wife and I both work from home. We do have the room. My wife said she will sleep in the guest bedroom, which doubles as my wife's office. I feel like in a 14-year husband and wife relationship in a house that we own together, my feelings and opinions should be valid, and we should come to an agreement. My in-laws knew in 2023 they had to do something, and they didn't. And I do not want to be a shelter for that kind of behavior. AITA for telling my wife, no, your mother can't stay here.
I think he is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 4. AITA for asking my fiancé to cut 200 people from his guest list. I, 31F, and my fiancé, 32M, recently got engaged. We have started making our guest list as part of our wedding planning. My fiancé is a very social guy. He's been in the restaurant industry for 10+ years and has made a lot of friends and business connections. On the other hand, you have me. I have a very small but close group of friends. I get overstimulated easily and have to prepare for big group interactions, and usually can only last a few hours before I need to wander off and recharge a little. We made our first pass at a guest list. I have about 50 people on my list. This includes mutual friends and their plus ones. These are the people I can't see this day happening without. He made his list and has close to 400 people on his. This includes people who he's met in business and wants to essentially shake hands and kiss babies with. I forgot to mention he's opening his own business soon. He said he will take another pass at the list and cut it down so we have 400 in total. The thought of this makes me physically ill. I want to be supportive and invite everyone he views as important to him. But there are a significant number of people on the list that I have never even met. Some I haven't even heard of before this list. For context, we have been together for 2.5 years. I also saw names, and when I asked him who they were, he said, well, I was invited to their wedding 3+ years ago. Some people he only exchanges happy birthday with every year and says they need to be at the wedding. Again, I want to be supportive. But I have a hard time justifying paying $250+ per person on people I have never met and who he only says happy birthday to. I've tried explaining this to him, but I know we are both passionate people, and sometimes I have a hard time expressing how things make me feel. I don't want to sound like I don't care about his friendships, but to me, some of his reasons for inviting people just seem childish or irrelevant. Ideally, I would like a wedding with 150 people. He wants closer to 500. I think I could do 250 without having a full panic attack and meltdown. I don't want to sound like a diva, but the thought of being around 200+ people I've never met and being the center of attention makes me want to crawl into a corner and hide. Last time I brought it up to him, he got really defensive and said I was making him feel like I don't care about the people who are important to him. I don't think that's the case, but AITA for wanting him to cut down from 400 people to 200?
I think she is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below. Subscribe for more interesting stories.